I'm drawn to a quote that came from you where you say, it's very rare for a man to be humbled but not ruined. That's a beautiful statement. I feel like I've been there before. And how about you? Because you have really brought OMG up very quickly after leaving Veritas. How are you feeling these days?
Oh, it's a mix of emotions, but I'm an optimist, and I think that quote, "humbled but ruined," yeah, I was deeply and profoundly humbled, being ousted by the company I founded, and spent so many years building. I feel good. I mean, I'm tired. I'm sleep deprived. I'm running a startup company, and I'm the CEO of that company with about 15 employees, and doing all the things I have to do. And I'm happy to be with you. We were going to be on 2 hours. We're going to do 1 hour. So just tired and run at 100 miles an hour, basically.
I saw your conversation with Ben Shapiro, and he was like, it's hard for me to associate Veritas without James. But then again, things move on. And so you've gone right back into startup mode. Does this remind you a little bit about the early days of Veritas? Or is it different because you're older, you're wiser, you know how to get things up and running quicker?
Good question. It's like, what's that Greek myth of the guy that rolls the boulder up the hill? I forgot the name of Sisyphus. It's Sisyphean. It's Sisyphean. The beginning of Veritas, I started, I was in a garage apartment, halfway house on federal probation in 2010. So people knew of me, but they thought I was a one-hit wonder. It was much more difficult back then because I didn't have all the support and all of the relationships I had built over 14 years. So in many ways, it's easier. In some ways, it's more difficult because it's more Sisyphean. It's like, really? The boulders come all the way back. I have to push it back up again? So the way to keep going is to focus on the artistic aspects, the storytelling aspects, the things that drive me, like that urge to get the next story out. I can't even say what our next story is, but man, if you knew, it's so exciting, that part of it. And you'll sort of do whatever you have to do, build whatever you have to build in order to achieve the objective of telling that story.
Yeah. James, I've had a lot of high power CEOs that have been on the show, and a lot of them have a similar story. And some of them even say that the guy that starts the organization, almost always gets thrown out of the organization in the end. And it's just kind of either a path or different personalities. I mean, have you had some time to kind of think about that? Did you go through various stages when it all happened? Or how do you put this in perspective now? I guess it's only been about 4 or 5 months.
This is like a 3-hour long conversation answering that question. I mean, we're talking about Dr. Malone, who I had dinner with in Orange County 2 weeks ago at Mastro's, and he wrote this unbelievable essay, which I've quoted 3 times. It's called The Institutional Pathology That Took Down James O'Keefe. And I'm just going to quote briefly from it because it's fascinating. This is crazy. One would guarantee him a position of a fundraising opportunity and people want to support. How could he be thrown out at that moment in time? And it's sort of like this institutional pathology Malone describes. I'm quoting him. He said, this has all of the earmarks of a terrible institutional problem we've seen with boards. By the way, I'm not the only one. I can't believe how many people have messaged me from hospitals, churches, the parable of Steve Jobs and all these sorts of things. The board develops a backwards looking focus, taking apart the success, wondering why we're taking these risks in the first place. They bring in the Goldman Sachs guy, like all that sort of business. And then people start conspiring to replace. One of my closest advisors told me when this happened, he said, I could see that a lot of people were working to become you. They wanted to be you. And of course, that's not possible. So, you learn from it. And as I said, you learn from it, makes you wiser. It's making me a little more disillusioned, which is not a bad thing because I'm a reporter. So the more real I can see the world, the better job I'm going to do at describing the world. So I think I'm going to be a more effective messenger, a better leader. And what doesn't kill you indeed makes you stronger.
Amen to Nietzsche on that one. And do you ever draw parallels to Steve Jobs? Did you think back that? Because they threw him out and then later they brought him back. And when they brought him back, it was amazing just to see what he could do. But they did throw him out, right?
Yeah, I can't, without getting into specifics or breaking confidence. I work with a number of business leaders that came to me and experienced something I went through, and the advice they gave me was, you're a boxing guy on the floor of the boxing ring, and you're at a 9 count, and you're bloodied. The psychological effects of going through this is I can't even put it into words unless you go through it. And all these people said the same thing, which is you got to get back up right away, even though you don't want to, even though psychologically, physically, spiritually, you are on the floor, bloodied, unconscious. You got to get back up. So what I did is I basically took out a whiteboard and late night with a bunch of blood brothers, I said, where are we going? And the epiphany that we came to was the sort of decentralizing of journalism, which is that now we have all these thousands of people that are messaging me every day, like, oh, I want to do what you do. And we're sort of leaving those people, how do we empower them? How do we mobilize them? And we came up with this idea of putting it back on them. We can talk about this with OMG's mission. So it was tough because I was on the floor of the boxing ring, bloodied, hurt, but eventually reached a point of forgiveness and what's next, like forward looking.
And in some way, this concept of decentralized journalism, which we'll get to, like you'll be able to realize that much quicker than you could have at Veritas, if you ever could have, right? Because now you're lean, you're mean, you can see a vision.
Yeah, and to your point about Steve Jobs, who once famously said that, I entered one of the most creative moments of my life. I was no longer encumbered by those weights that you're carrying on your back. So you felt pain, but you also felt kind of like you're a man walking on the moon. When you go through this, the first thing you feel, other than excruciating pain, is a lightness. I don't have to make payroll this month. Like it's just like this wild, the amount of responsibility, all those lawsuits, those are no longer my problems. I feel horrible that those problems exist and they're probably not going to be served. But that's the first thing you feel. And then you feel this sort of lightness on your feet, this agility. And then you're able to direct yourself to whatever your purpose is.
And some of the lessons you learned are no boards going forward, and you're going to own it.
Yeah, I never really paid attention to I read some people wrong, and that's my fault. I tend to probably think that everyone's out to help me or help the mission of what I'm doing, when we all know wisdom teaches us that obviously not everyone's out to help you. But that's my fault. I learned a lesson there, and I 100% own OMG right now. So
Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. Hey, do you want to profit from crypto? Then join my DeFi Academy. The Crypto DeFi Academy will help you create generational wealth. But don't take my word for it. Listen to my students.
When I first got into crypto, I remember thinking to myself, I need to learn more. Brian Rose, learning crypto, learning DeFi, gotta do it.
I am so grateful that I jumped in and did this. I had to break through some limiting beliefs that I can do this, that I can afford this, that I can be in this.
It challenges the things that are deeply rooted within us.
Joining DeFi Academy has been one of the best decisions I have made on my blockchain journey.
This course was a life changer, a game changer, a huge eye-opener, coming from knowing practically nothing at the speed of the learning over 4 weeks was just fantastic.
The information you provided in this class was invaluable.
I feel far more confident in my next steps.
You took complex concepts and made them easier to understand.
What's different than so many other ones is it just doesn't tell you what to do. It actually makes you do it.
This is for people who are serious about becoming traders. This is the way it should be done.
I realized from this learning experience again that it is not about what you learn, but about who you learn it from.
The energy was insane. I've never experienced such incredible energy on a live call. Brian Rose, you are a legend, my friend.
It's the only thing in the market where you can get all information and learn everything what you need to know.
Everything is so clear and so well done, and I am just forever grateful for this program.
It made me feel so much more confident about crypto than I did before.
I did not anticipate how passionate I was going to become about it.
This course has been like a big learning experience for me, not just in the crypto space, but just in overall balance of life.
What I've learned is, how to take ownership, of my life in a way that I really hadn't before.
Yeah, you can't put a price on that, really.
I would recommend it to anybody, top notch.
Excellence does not come cheap. So if you want excellence, you gotta pay for it, but it's so worth it.
Pull the trigger. That's what this course is about.
You're not going to regret it, really. It's amazing.
Thank you, Brian and team.
So what are you waiting for? Crypto is happening now. Click the link below, submit your application, and let me mentor you on how to create generational wealth and build the decentralized financial infrastructure of the future.